In our last visit to St-Eustache, we had one of the most exciting events ever at this 0.4 mile racetrack. With 6 different winners and 6 events so far this year, we have one of the closest championship battles ever. And now, as darkness falls at St-Eustache, 23 drivers prepare to resume battle for the Castrol Super Series title. At St-Eustache, you better watch out for things that go bump in the night.
There's plenty of short track action here, and pressure too, as championship points leader Al Turner pulls a 1-point lead over Don Thompson Jr. and 2 points over Kerry Mix. You're watching the Castrol Super Series from Quebec's Autodrome St-Eustache. This is the Auto Parts Plus 150. Hello everybody, I'm Pat Gonzalez along with Robin Buck, and as Todd Lewis said, it's racing under the lights on this tight 0.4 mile flat oval. The championship points battle couldn't be any tighter with the top 3 drivers, as Al Turner holds the slimmest of margins over both Don Thompson Jr. and Kerry Mix.
That's right, Pat. There's been 6 different winners in the last 6 races, and that has contributed to the incredibly close Castrol Championship race.
And Robin, you own one of those wins with your victory at the Molson Indy Toronto. Now here at St-Eustache, starting up front, very important. And in our Mopar Parts Pole Award run, it was 33 Neil Fair with a lap at 18.159, who captured the pole, his 3rd Castrol pole. That has given us a very intriguing front row, Todd Lewis.
That's right, guys. It is a very interesting front row. As you'll remember last year, Neil Fair bumped out of position by Don Thompson Jr. That's the way they start tonight. Could be very exciting heading to turn 1.
Last year, Don Thompson Jr. was going for a championship and literally pushed Neil off the track to secure that honor. Neil let Donnie know how he felt about the move, ramming him at the finish line once the race was over. So this could be payback time for Neil Fair. We'll have to wait and see, Robin.
There's Neil getting into his car. My guess is that he will let Donnie know that all is not forgotten tonight.
We'll find out, and we'll be back with the start. This program is sponsored by Mopar Parts, engineered for all Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles. Castrol GTX, drive hard. And by Ford Quality Care Service and Motorcraft Quality Parts. 23 cars ready to go racing. Neil Fair will start from the pole position, looking for his first victory of the year and perhaps becoming our 7th different winner in 7 races. Pete Vanderwist in the Exide Pontiac starts 3rd. Finally, a good race for him. 2-time series champion Pete Gibbons has yet to win this year as well. In fact, he hasn't even finished 2 races this year. Remember last year, Pete Gibbons the charge from the back of the field to win. Will we see that kind of action tonight? It's time to find out. Todd, absolutely. That was a classic race here last year. Gibbons piloting half a race car to the win. As we take a look back at the incident that almost took Pete out as he tore up the car in turn 2, but somehow motored on to probably win one of the most incredible finishes of his Castrol career.
Not only is Gibbons as tough as leather, but these Castrol late models can take a real beating and still race to win.
That was a fabulous win a year ago by Pete Gibbons as we look at the Auto Parts Plus starting grid. Neil Fair, Don Thompson Jr. up front. The second row, Pete Vanderwees and Scott Steckley. A couple of Pontiac Grand Prix making up row 2. Row 3, Pete Gibbons starting 5th. DJ Kennington to his outside of the Castrol Syntec Intrepid. A couple of Fords make up row 4. Dave Whitlock in the Motorcraft Ford, Mark Dilley in the NTN Bearing Stores. Row 5 will have Kelly Williams and John Fitzpatrick in a Monte Carlo. The 6th row, Ron Beauchamp Jr. in the Mopar Intrepid and Kerry Mix in the Mix Motorsports Taurus. Row 7, Dave Jacobs in the Speedy Auto Service Taurus and Al Turner in the Blue Streak Intrepid. Back into the 8th row, it is Kevin Dowler in the Ford, Robbie Thompson, the top qualifying rookie, and then in row 9, Andy Farr into the DeWalt Tools Intrepid and second-year driver Chris Fowler. Row 10 will have Joe Gonzalez in the Sam the Record Man Monte Carlo, and Brad Graham in the Challenger Motor Freight Grand Prix. Row 11, Kevin O'Hara and rookie driver Terry McDonald-Cadou in the Weather Network Monte Carlo. The last driver on the grid is Quebec's Donald Teege. It is a warm and muggy night here at St-Eustache. Here's Todd Lewis with an interesting story.
Crew member Jeff Irwin has an extra job tonight for Scott Steckley's team. His wife Penny is expecting their first child. In fact, she was due yesterday. Jeff's got the cell phone, he's got the pager. If Penny needs Scott, she calls, he heads on his way. He has a backup driver, David Sharp, standing by.
Well, Penny certainly is a very understanding wife. There's Scott Steckley, great qualifying run for him as he starts in that second row. Let's have a look at the Ford race analysis. 4/10 of a mile flat oval, 150 laps or 60 miles is what they'll run here. And of course, as we said, just an absolute beautiful day and evening here in Quebec. 26 degrees Celsius. White flag up in the flagger stand from Sean Gibbs. One lap to go before we set these 23 Castrol late models underway for 150 laps of racing.
Pat, corner 2 is the toughest part of this track. It's very tight, flat with no banking, and the outside wall comes up at you very fast when you're loose. Not much fun for 150 laps.
Well, all of these teams worked on the setup through the practice sessions earlier this afternoon, and it's certainly cooler than what they practiced under those conditions earlier today. There you see 33, Neil Fair, number 4, Don Thompson Jr. Of course, these drivers have got some pretty long memories, and we'll see if any of the shenanigans of a year ago is picked up here tonight. There's the green flag into turn 1. Thompson gets a big jump and will move from his outside starting position to grab the lead. Don Thompson Jr. right there, and now Scott Steckley in the 22 car will move up to challenge 99, Pete Vanderweest, for that third place spot.
Pat, Donnie definitely got the jump on the start there. I don't think Neil's going to be very happy about that. He's the pole sitter. He's supposed to set the pace.
There's Mark Dilley, 64 in the NTN Bearings Ford. He's going to try that high groove early in the race. Pulls up alongside of Pete Gibbons as they battle now side by side for what will be the 5th place spot. We're on board with Mark Dilley.
Looks like Mark's doing a good job on the outside of Peter. Peter's a tough competitor. He's going to hang Mark out there as much as he can. Mark likes the outside line quite often at many of the tracks that he runs at.
Looking at the 5th and 6th place battle here early off of turn 4, back to the stripe into 1. Number 4, Don Thompson Jr. is your leader. 33, pole sitter Neil Fair in 2nd. 99, the Exide Batteries Pontiac of Pete Vanderweest holding on to 3rd. And then 22, Steckley. And then that battle we were watching there for 5th between number 1, Pete Gibbons, and 64, Mark Dilley.
Looks like a lot of the guys are just willing to settle down, get in the line, get some laps under their belt, and hopefully let the track come back to them. It's going to get tighter tonight as it gets cooler. We'll see what happens.
Thompson will bring them back to the line, still single file. Dilley did try that high groove for a moment there, Robin, but it doesn't appear to be working all that well, at least not early in the race.
Well, I think Mark knows that Peter's going to run hard. He always charges to the front, and he doesn't want to burn up his car too early, overheat the brakes or the tires. That's always a big factor here is the brake temperature. It's a tight track with a lot of braking.
Mark Dilley off of the corner, running back in 6th. Remember, he won a race earlier this year. That came at the Oval at Mosport Speedway. And now DJ Kennington, and here's another pretty good battle for 8th and 9th between 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr., the Mopar Intrepid, and 98, Dave Whitlock, side by side as they battle into turn 1. So Whitlock trying the high groove, and 31, Kelly Williams, is also right in there. That is the race for 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Looks like Dave's going to try that high line like Mark did. Maybe they set their cars to run the high. Oh, and it looks like
Kelly did touch 98 Whitlock, and I believe 88 Dave Jacobs, who's also part of this little group, also got into contact with 31 Kelly Williams.
Onboard shot with Kelly there looking back at Dave. Looks like he's going to try and make a move, but maybe not. Just going to show Kelly that he's there ready to pounce if she makes a mistake.
Dave Jacobs running in 11th, right behind the Westburn Electric Grand Prix of Kelly Williams. Up front, the 4 car, Don Thompson Jr., your race leader. And now things starting to heat up here for 4th as Pete Gibbons is right on the rear bumper of 22 Scott Steckley.
careful here. The brakes are going to be a big issue, and you don't want to get them too hot too soon because that'll really affect the braking capability of the cars. And it looks like a couple of the guys, Vanderwood's brakes are starting to glow a little bit, so we're going to keep an eye on a few of these guys.
DJ Kennington moving up to challenge 64. Mark Dilley for 6th, and he'll just blow by on the outside to pick up that 6th place spot. Nice move there by DJ. His car's working up high.
It certainly is. I think what's going to happen here is you're going to see a lot of guys settle down early. DJ wants to go to the front. He's won here before. He's won a championship in the Sportsman Series here. I think he wants to be at the front and lead this.
Don Thompson Jr., your race leader, 33. Neil Fair, 2nd, 99. The Exide Batteries Grand Prix of Pete Vanderwees, 3rd. Cars just blowing by our wall cam there on the far side of the racetrack. And now Thompson starting to approach some of the lap cars here. And that battle continues for 4th and 5th. Gibbons really wants to get around Steckley here for 4th. Thompson's still your leader, and they have just lapped 75, Kevin O'Hara. So these guys running much quicker than O'Hara. Next car that they'll be lapping, the number 8 Weather Network Monte Carlo of Terry McDonald-Cadieux. There's O'Hara 75. He has brought the Holmar Plumbing Monte Carlo into the pit, so after being lapped, he's elected to bring it out of pit road. They're looking under the rear of the race car, so O'Hara had some kind of a problem early.
And there goes Donnie making the pass on the high side, and Terry, hopefully she'll keep her car down tonight, not get in the way of the guys. This is a really tough track to race if your car's not handling well. It looks like Terry might be suffering a little bit from handling problems right now.
Terry McDonald-Cadieux keeping that car down to the bottom of the racetrack, allowing the front-running pack of cars to go around on the outside. And spin by DJ Kennington as we were on board, and he has tapped the wall. That's up in turn number 3. And there you can see, Robin, the rear bumper has been torn up, and we will go to a caution flag here at the Autodrome St-Eustache. So DJ will not lose a lap as he's able to get it turned around and is rolling.
On the Mopar replay, you can see Steckley has some steam or something coming out of the front of the car. DJ gets into it, spins into the wall. Here's Todd with more.
Mark Dilley in the NTN Bearings tore us along pit road. His teammate Dave Whitlock seemed to think there were sparks underneath him. We're worried about a clutch problem, and that's why he's making a stop under this caution. Scott Steckley, expected father, hits pit road. The crew goes to work on the car, trying to repair some of the fiberglass damage and clear it away from the right front tire. Also changing the right front tire. They're looking under the hood now, steam rising up. There may be a radiator problem for Scott Steckley as well.
Tough break for Scott Steckley, who qualified so well. A lot of activity here under caution. 04, Andy Farr also pitted along with the 80 car there of Donald Teach. There's your running order. Don Thompson Jr. still heading the field. We'll be back at St-Eustache in a moment.
Back to St-Eustache and Mark Dilley in the NTN Bearings Taurus. I know this is not the way you wanted this race to go. What's put you out?
Looks like we broke a shock and it broke the top of the rear end off. Just a tough break. I mean, the car was good. It went down the outside good. One of those racing deals. I feel bad for NTN Masters Avenue, but we'll be back.
A difficult day for Mark Dilley. Remember, he was a winner of the Mosport Oval a little earlier this year.
And Mark, who did run up as high as 6 before running into those mechanical problems as we go back to green following our first caution and restart here on lap number 28. And again, Thompson gets the jump off the restart. The 8 car there, Terry McDonald-Cadieux, is running a lap down. 33, Neil Fair in 2nd. And then a little bit of a gap back to the battle now for 3rd. 99, Pete Vanderwees in the Exide Batteries Pontiac ahead of 1, Pete Gibbons, and then number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. has moved up into 5th, and now Vanderwees will go through on the inside. That's not how you want to go around a lap car, is it, Robin?
No, definitely not. Terry needs to try and keep her car down on the inside lane and let the guys pass on the outside. She's going to get herself in a little bit of trouble with the other drivers if she keeps this up.
On board with Dave Whitlock, running in the 6th place spot. So Whitlock's done a nice job of coming up through the field and has picked up several positions, and now is part of this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, involving the number 1 car of Pete Gibbons along with 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr.
Looks like Donnie and Neil are starting to break away just a little bit. It's interesting to see that Ronnie Beauchamp's going to stick on the tail of Peter. You get hooked up with a guy who's running well like Peter, who's always charging. You want to stay with him. Let him make the holes so that you don't have to use your car up in case you have to use your bumper.
Pete Gibbons, the number 1 Canadian Tire Chevrolet, holding on to that 4th place spot. 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. in 5th, 98 Dave Whitlock 6th, and 31 Kelly Williams, all part of that battle as they work back down through turns 1 and 2. Let's go to Todd Lewis, who's standing by in the pits.
Scott Steckley, I know you're expecting Father and you're impatient, but I know this is also not the way you want it tonight, Dan.
No, it's not. We had a real good qualifying effort in 4th, and we were running 4th. The car was real good, and red hose, flew off and hit the wall. Tough one for Herb and AW Millwrights. They put a lot into this program, and just want to thank everybody.
Scott Steckley will now head home to be with his wife Penny, who's expecting their first child.
And we pick up on the battle that's starting to heat up now for 3rd. Pete Gibbons takes a look on the inside of 99. Pete Vanderwees still runs side by side down the back chute, and Pete Gibbons will take over 3rd. Vanderwees slips up high, number 60. Ron Beauchamp Jr. will move through as well.
That's a good pass that Gibbons made on Vanderwitz. Vanderwitz needs a good race here. He's been struggling a little bit in his finishes. He's qualified well at a few races, but he needs to get some momentum going here, and this may be the place that he could do it.
Well, he was able to hold off Dave Whitlock, who also tried to squeeze through on the inside. So Pete Vanderwees, in the space of about a lap, goes from 3rd to 5th, and now comes under pressure from the Motorcraft Ford of Dave Whitlock. Kelly Williams in the number 31 Westburn Electric Grand Prix, still running back in 7th.
From the onboard camera, you can see that Ronnie Beauchamp is now getting ready to try and make a pass on Gibbons. He's got some clear track in front of him, and then he can get by to try and catch up to Neil and Donnie.
That's a good little fight here now for 3rd and 4th. Pete Gibbons holding on to 3rd. Dan Beauchamp, a spin by the number 3 car of Chris Fowler, the Snap-on Tools Canadian Forces Monte Carlo. That is up in turn 2. And he's just waiting for a break in the traffic here to get that car turned around. There he goes now. So Fowler back rolling again, but I believe he has gone a lap down and back in about 17th.
Pat, that's an unfortunate break for Chris. He's a good young driver, and he was just hanging out, just trying to stay on the lead lap.
Here's Todd Lewis in the Fowler pits.
Billy Rouse, Chris Fowler had a spin in turn 2. What happened?
Well, we're running 11th. Got involved with a lap car that had no business being there. She's run here all year. We showed her respect. She didn't show us any. Turnaround's fair play. She wants to hope I don't get in a race car this year.
It'll be exciting out there.
Well, the Rodney Dangerfield of NASCAR, Billy Rouse Jr., a little bit feisty there, Robin, looking for some respect. Evidently, the 3 car there, Chris Fowler, got tangled up with Terry McDonald-Cadieux.
And I think he means it. He's a very tough competitor on and off the racetrack.
Race leader Don Thompson Jr. going around 76 Al Turner. So Turner in the Blue Streak Intrepid struggling here and now goes a lap down as 33 Neil Fair will also go by on the outside.
This is not a good situation for Al. He needs all the points he can get, and he always runs very well here. Hopefully he can get his lap back.
Especially, Robin, just how close the points battle was coming in. Remember, Al Turner coming into this race was just 2 points ahead of Don Thompson Jr. and Kerry Mix.
We're on board with Dave Whitlock. Dave needs a good race here, as does Peter Vanderwitz right ahead of them. Both have been struggling a little bit, and this would be a great track for them to kick off a comeback.
There is Pete Gibbons. He continues to run in 4th, just ahead of Pete Vanderwees.
going on between Neil Fair and crew chief Sock. What's happening is that Neil's going to dial some rear brake out. Kevin wants him to use less brake, post the car more in the corner, so he's not going to overheat the brake, so he has something at the end for Donnie.
76 car of Al Turner continues to struggle as 14, John Fitzpatrick and 02, Kerry Mix both go by on the outside. And now we look from the front of the Kerry Mix Taurus as he races here with the 14 car of John Fitzpatrick.
We got a tight battle up in the front, and there's Neil letting Donnie know that he's right there ready to pounce anytime he makes a mistake or he makes him make a mistake.
Of course, the tables were turned a year ago here at St-Eustache when Thompson hit Neil Fair and took him out in turn 1. And here's 98 Dave Whitlock gets inside of the 99 car of Pete Van der Weest as they race back into turn 1. Oh, contact between Van der Weest and Whitlock, number 98. Van der Weest is off the racetrack. Motor still running on the car, and he will continue, but some hard contact there between the 99 car of Pete Van der Weest and 98 Dave Whitlock, and Sean Gibbs will throw a caution.
On the Mopar replay, you can see Whitlock's on the inside. Van der Weest's a little high coming into 1. He comes down. Whitlock touches him. Van der Weest goes around. There's Pete in the pits.
And Pete Van der Weest will stay on the lead lap. They'll try to get him in and out here as the pace car out on the racetrack. There's 76 Al Turner. He is on pit road. They're going to make some changes to that race car. Don Thompson Jr., still your leader. We'll be back with more of the Auto Parts Plus 150 from St-Eustache in just a moment. Sean Gibbs with the green flag out. Don Thompson Jr. will bring the field back into turn 1 just behind the 8 car. That's Terry McDonald Caduce. She's not running on the lead lap. Thompson in that Home Hardware Chevrolet just ahead of 33 pole sitter Neil Fair as they run 1-2. And then Pete Gibbons in the Canadian Tire Chevy in third, and there's the black flag out, Robin.
Pat, I believe that's for Terry McDonald for a incident on the last caution where she passed the pace car, and that's a big no-no in stock car racing.
There's the number 3 car of Chris Fowler as he continues to battle back after that earlier spin. Was back in 17th and trying to make his way back up through the field as we look at Pete Gibbons just ahead of the 60 car there of Ron Beauchamp Jr. And Pete Gibbons having a pretty good run here in the Canadian Tire Chevrolet, but still well back of Don Thompson Jr. There's the black flag out again. Could that one be for Whitlock in the 98?
It very well could be for that incident with the 99 car back a few laps ago where he actually got into the back of Van der Weest, spun him out, and normally when you take a guy out, you're going to get a black flag for a stop and go.
Dave Whitlock running in 5th, just ahead of this battle between Kelly Williams and Dave Jenkins. They're running 6th and 7th on the racetrack. Williams in a number 31 Western Electric Pontiac. And right behind the Ford Taurus of Dave Jenkins, the speedy Auto Service Ford. And they're having a pretty good fight here going around the 8 car there of Terry McDonald Caduce at number 9, Robbie Thompson. And that is a heated little battle here, Robin, for 6th and 7th.
There's definitely a lot of traffic on the track right now. A lot of guys jockeying around for position. Looks like Donnie and Neil have been able to break away a little bit from Peter and Beauchamp, but they'll soon catch up when they get close to those back markers and get into that traffic.
Number 3 car there of Chris Fowler. Now we go on board with DJ Kennington, that earlier spin, but he has made his way back up into the top 10, currently being shown in 10. So a pretty good run here for DJ after spinning, was able to keep the car on the lead lap as he tries to work around the lap car now of Chris Fowler, number 3. And there we hit the halfway point. Lap 75 in the books. Our Lincoln Electric midway update. Just 1 leader so far. A couple of cautions. And Scott Steckley, before exiting out of the event, had the fastest lap of the race at 18.359.
Dave Whitlock remains on the track despite a black flag penalty. His crew and team were notified of a black flag. He did not answer it, and now NASCAR stopped scoring him. His team are arguing the point with the NASCAR officials.
Dave Whitlock slowing on the racetrack. Looks like he'll bring the motorcraft forward onto pit road to serve the penalty. There he is as he rolls in. Stop and go. He's away. Let's go to Todd Lewis for a clarification on the Whitlock situation.
Steve Misford, what's the situation with Dave Whitlock and the black flag?
Well, right now, Castrol's deemed that we should get a black flag for an incident with the 99 car. What happened was the green flag came out. They showed the 8-car lap car the black flag for 3 laps. Subsequently, they showed us the black flag for only 2 laps. We came in as soon as we found out that they said they stopped scoring us. However, they say it's too late. We have only seen the black flag 2 laps. The rule book states you have to be shown for 3 consecutive laps.
You're going to stay out and keep racing?
We are going to stay out and stay racing and appeal it after the race.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve Mifsud, a former CASCAR official, now on the other side of the pit wall. He used to give out those stop-and-go penalties, and now his team, the recipient of one. Dave Whitlock on a pit road, and as he pitted under green for that stop-and-go, I believe he has dropped off of the lead lap. There's your race leader, Don Thompson Jr., followed by 33, Neil Fair. This has been pretty much the story at the front of the field since the opening lap, although Pete Gibbons in the Canadian Tire Chevrolet there in 3rd. Whitlock running 4th on the racetrack, but a lap down in 17, DJ Kennington. There's a strong race car as he will go around the outside of Kelly Williams to take over 5th.
DJ's got a very, very strong car tonight. It may look a little bit banged up, but he's definitely going to the front. His dad builds the motors, and he's running a McCall chassis. 2 good combinations.
Robin, that is one of just a couple of cars that's been able to run that high line successfully. As we ride on board with Don Thompson Jr., the race leader, going around the logos intrepid of rookie Robbie Thompson.
Robbie Thompson is struggling a little bit tonight, but he is the leading rookie, and if he keeps going the way he is, he should have a good shot at winning the title.
Of course, car owner John Logle's very pleased with how his driver has been performing. There's a look at our top 3 in the Auto Parts Plus 150. Don Thompson Jr., Neil Fair, and Pete Gibbons continue to head the running order. And we'll be back with more of the Auto Parts Plus 150 in a moment. Autodrome St-Eustache in round number 7 of the 12-race Castrol Super Series. There's your race leader, number 4, Don Thompson Jr., followed by 33, Neil Fair, then Pete Gibbons in the number 1 Monte Carlo. Thompson has really had a dominating run so far. Started on the outside of row 1, took the lead off the start, and has led every lap since. The number 19 car there of Brad Graham, the Challenger Motor Freight Pontiac Grand Prix, as we have our Castrol Syntec profiler on Brad Graham, hometown of Glencoe, Ontario, 26 years of age, talented young driver, running pretty much the entire Super Series season. As we look at his racing accomplishments, started in karting and continues to improve. Right now he runs on the racetrack just in back of the 88 car there of Dave Jacobs. So Graham right now in 8th on the racetrack and moving up to challenge Jacobs for 7th on the inside.
Brad's trying to make the move on the inside of 88, but the 75, a lap car, has pinched him a little bit, and he's had to drop back. And there's a bit of contact between Fitzpatrick and the 14 car and Graham. Graham's got the sportsman track record here, so he knows the track. He's very comfortable, and he should make his way to the front.
Brad Graham in that number 19 Pontiac just ahead of 14 John Fitzpatrick. There was some contact there. As we look at this battle now for 4th, the 60 car, the Mopar Intrepid of Ron Beauchamp Jr. trying to hold off 17 DJ Kennington.
Again, it looked like Beauchamp's brakes were blowing again. those Dodges, they're very fast, but they're very heavy on their brakes. You've got a lot of front-end weight, and you have a tendency to use up brakes.
DJ Kennington has done a marvelous job of bouncing back from that spin and tapping the wall in turn number 3 early in the race, and has come all the way back up into the 5th place spot, and now challenging the 60 car there of Ron Beauchamp Jr. as they both will go around. Number 9, Robbie Thompson, who's struggling a little bit here tonight, as well as 35. That is Kevin Dowler, also not having a good run here at St-Eustache.
It looks like Kevin's kind of struggling with the setup tonight. Again, his first time at this track. It's very, very tough to get the setup first time out, and these guys are very experienced.
Here's a look at Kevin McMillan, the guy they call Sock, watching his driver, 33, Neil Fair, come under fire from Pete Gibbons. And that battle between DJ Kennington, a little bit of contact there between Beauchamp trying to go around 99, Pete Vanderwees. They touched lightly there for a moment, and you're right on board with Ron Beauchamp Jr. He's got DJ Kennington all over his rear bumper.
That's a great little battle between DJ and Ron Beauchamp. Again, they're both driving Dodges. It almost looks like they share the setups because both cars are running really well right now.
DJ Kennington, there you can see the back end of that race car banged up. That was all of hitting the wall up there in turn 3 earlier. 33 car of Neil Fair losing some ground now, Robin, to Don Thompson Jr., who's opened up several car lengths. And now Neil coming under fire from Pete Gibbons.
And there's a little bit of lap traffic in the way, too. That's not going to help Neil out much. And with Peter right on his tail, he now has to worry about Peter trying to make that move on.
The 04 car of Andy Farr to the Wall Tools Intrepid is smoking. Andy Farr, who was being shown in 11, but he's got a problem, and it would look as though he's going to bring it out of pit road. So big problems here for Andy Farr, who is having a reasonably good run this evening, but you can see the smoke still coming from the rear end of that race car. He'll bring it out of pit road.
Give it up. Don't give it up. Let her go.
Side-by-side battle for turn 4, and on the outside again, DJ Kennington will drive around number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. Robin, he has had a very strong race car up high.
Yeah, DJ's car is working very well in that high line, and maybe that's the place to be now. That second line, second groove starts to come in late in this race.
17, DJ Kennington, your new 4th place car, number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr.'s 5th. The 99 cars in the pits.
Pete Vanderwist in the Exide Pontiac along pit road. An earlier spin, steam rising out, and the car is shut off with a bang. Crew going to work to try and find that problem for Pete Vanderwist. He'll be here for some time. It'll be a lengthy stop.
Pat, I think the bang was just raw fuel in the exhaust. As they shut it down, it ignites. Big bang. Scares a lot of people.
Pete Vanderwees did have a good race going earlier when he ran up as high as 3rd, then got tapped, of course, as we saw by Dave Whitlock, and has been struggling since, and now brings it out of pit road with evidently some kind of a problem under the hood. Here's that battle for 2nd, really starting to tighten up. 33, Neil Fair, who qualified on the pole, and big spin up in turn number 3. Schmidt has looped the car, and the race leader, Don Thompson Jr., has also spun, and all of a sudden, Pete Gibbons goes from 3rd to 1st.
Unfortunately, both Neil and Donnie were the first 2 cars into it. They spun. It must be some oil.
Oil down there, something here? Oh yeah, everywhere.
Well, Peter's confirming that must be oil. Somebody's dropped it, and fortunately the spotters didn't see that. On the Mopar replay, you can see that Neil's car goes in this lazy, long spin. Donnie's already spun. And here we're on board with Donnie as he gets into the oil. Again, he's spinning. He's keeping the gas going. He's trying to spin this around, but he's too close to the wall, doesn't want to hit it, so he's off the gas.
Donald Teague making a stop along pit road. The lone Quebec driver is changing the right front tire and adding some wedge into the right rear. Donald Teague blew an engine earlier this afternoon. The crew changed it, got him back out to qualify, and he's struggling through the 150 tonight at St-Eustache.
All still under caution here at the Autodrome St-Eustache. There's Kerry Mick, 02, as he prepares to head back out onto the racetrack. Kerry, of course, won one of the 2 races here at St-Eustache a year ago. Pete Gibbons, your new leader. We'll be back with more in a moment.
the Scoling Chevy along pit road, an adjustment to the left rear. They check the front, clean it off, and they'll send Neil back into the battle. He was caught up into that oil slide along with Don Thompson Jr.
And there are the cars lined up, ready to go on the restart. Robin, where do you think that oil came from?
Well, it's hard to say, but with oil on a narrow track like this, there's no way to avoid it, especially if your spotter doesn't see it as well.
Well, Pete Gibbons was very lucky. He was just able to inch down to the bottom of the racetrack, and now is the leader as we go back to green. Pete Gibbons looking for his very first win with less than 50 laps to go. In fact, the grand total of 36 laps remaining. And there is Pete Gibbons, 17, DJ Kennington. What a job he has done recovering from that earlier spin right on the rear bumper as they work in through turns 1 and 2. And he has got a very, very strong race car. Oh, and a spin and a hit in turn 2. Number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. is involved. One of the cars along with 76, Al Turner. And there was the 9 car there. You saw Robbie Thompson making an unscheduled pit stop. He's back out. But we stay green as both of those drivers are rolling again. And right now, strictly a 2-car race up front, Robin. Pete Gibbons and 17, DJ Kennington.
And it looks like Ronnie's into the pits, and he's upset. He's waving his arms. I think he knows who spun him out. And he was running really well in 3rd place and possibly being able to challenge for second spot.
Ron Beauchamp Jr. very upset from onboard Dave Whitlock's car. You're right in the middle of the incident, and it looked as though Beauchamp got tagged hard from behind by 76 Al Turner. As we look at the new race leader, number 1, Pete Gibbons ahead of 17, DJ Kennington, as they work off of turns 3 and 4. And back to the line there will come 76 Turner with 29 laps to go, running 3rd on the racetrack, but he is a lap down, being shown in 9th. So DJ Kennington continues to work on Pete Gibbons, and now they come up on the 60 car of Ron Beauchamp Jr., who's back out onto the racetrack. He is slowed there, and as they work down into turn 1, Beauchamp right behind Turner, and he hits him. So it's payback time for Beauchamp after being taken out by 76 Turner. He slows on the racetrack, and that was a deliberate payback, Robin.
You think so, Pat? I tell you, Beauchamp was running really well. Unfortunately, Al got into the back of him. Al now sits in the sand trap, can't get out. The yellow's out. He's going to go down a whole bunch more laps.
Al Turner in the gravel trap there in turn 1. We'll be back with more in a moment. Autodrome St-Eustache. White flag being shown to the drivers as we prepare to go back to green. Let's have a look at how the race has gone so far. Don Thompson Jr. grabs the lead off the start from pole sitter Neil Fair. And then we have this incident with DJ Kennington spinning up in turn 3, but he's been able to bounce back. And then the hit by 98 Dave Whitlock on the 99 car of Pete Vanderwees. Then oil in turn 3 as both Don Thompson Jr. and Neil Fair spin. And then the tap there by number 60, Ron Beauchamp Jr. on 76, Al Turner. Pete Gibbons, your new race leader. Lap cars down on the inside. 98, Dave Whitlock is the first of the cars not running on the lead lap. Green flag from Sean Gibbs into turn 1 with just a matter of 22 laps remaining. It is Pete Gibbons, your race leader. Followed by that 17 car of DJ Kennington. 31, Kelly Williams having a marvelous run. She's up into 3rd in the Westward Electric Pontiac Grand Prix. And if Kelly can hold on for 3rd, that'll be her first Castrol Super Series podium finish.
Well, let's hope she can. She's got a very good car. She's running very well. She stayed clean all night. It's a tough place for her to be right now, having Donnie follow her. And hopefully she'll have enough for him. But it's a great race for Kelly. She's showing how good she really is.
Don Thompson Jr. has battled back from that spin in turn 3, running 4th behind Kelly Williams. The 57 car there of Joe Gonzalez, the Sam the Record Man Monte Carlo, right in the middle of those two. He is not running on the lead lap. Pete Gibbons in the Monte Carlo, who did not start 2 races when mechanical problems put him out very, very early, looking for his first win. And certainly Gibbons was one of the preseason favorites to take the Castrol Super Series Championship and the Castrol Cup. And there's Kelly Williams, 31. Beautifully prepared race car. Still holds on to that 3rd place spot ahead of Don Thompson Jr.
We're on board with Donnie, and he's taken a look on the inside of Kelly a few times. Kelly may be suffering from a loose car here, but if she can hold it down, she may have a chance at finishing on that podium.
Thompson, if he's going to get around, may have to do it up on the high side, and we've only seen a couple of cars that have been able to successfully make that pass on the high groove. DJ Kennington, one of those. But right now, you're in the thick of this battle for 3rd. Thompson takes a look on the inside, trying to find some room, and Kelly will shut the doors. They work down off of turns 1 and 2. And perhaps a little bit of a tap there, Robin.
It looked like Donnie may have just got into her quarter there and got her a little loose, but he's running her very clean. He's not being impatient, not going to push her out of the way. I think he plans to do this as clean as he possibly can.
Don Thompson Jr. right there, great battle for 3rd. Meanwhile up front, DJ Kennington continues to hound number 1, Pete Gibbons, off of turn 4. As we look at our CASCAR website address, you can pick up news on the series, current point standings, full schedule of events, and other CASCAR news on the web. That battle for 3rd now heating up. Don Thompson Jr. gets inside of Kelly Williams into turn 3. And Kelly's not going to give up the spot easily, battling back, but finally Thompson able to wrestle 3rd away. There's 35. Kevin Dowler, another unscheduled pit stop for Dowler, running here at St-Eustache for the very first time, and they really missed the setup in qualifying, and they've been struggling pretty much all evening.
Looks like Donnie's now got a little bit of a clear track in front of him to try and hunt down DJ. We're late in the race, and everybody's equipment's starting to get a little bit tired. We'll see who can stay on pace and hold their position.
Defending CASCAR champion Pete Gibbons continues to lead here at the Autodrome St-Eustache. There's his crew planning perhaps some late race strategy. We'll be back at St-Eustache. Closing laps of the Auto Parts Plus 150 from the Autodrome St-Eustache and round 7 of the Castrol Super Series. There's your race leader, number 1, Pete Gibbons, trying to hold off the Castrol Syntec Dodge of DJ Kennington, who is just about 3 or 4 car lengths back. Gibbons will have to contend with some lap cars here going through on the inside of 99. Pete Vanderwees, number 4, Don Thompson Jr. is 3rd, and now the battle will be for 4th between 31, Kelly Williams, and number 88, Dave Jacobs. And of course, a year ago, Robin, here at St-Eustache, Jacobs had his trailer, race car, all of his equipment stolen from the hotel parking lot. This year, he didn't take any chances, stayed about an hour and a half from the track in Cornwall, Ontario.
Pat, it's a big blow to a team to lose all your equipment, but the team is back together with crew chief Tim Ellis at the helm. Dave's team is working very well here, especially tonight, and he's also in the hunt for the championship points.
And he is all over Kelly Williams. He wants that 4th place spot. He knows one more position will give him a few more points in the championship. Pete Gibbons off at turn 4 as he works back to the line. DJ Kennington, if DJ's going to win this thing, he's got to make his move very soon.
I think DJ needs a caution if he's really going to get back on the bumper of Peter. Peter's running very, very strong and is very determined to win this race.
There's that race for 4th, heating up. 88 Dave Jacobs to within about a half a car length of Kelly Williams. Kelly in the Western Electric Pontiac, and the 88 Dave Jacobs in that speedy auto service Ford takes a look on the inside, can't quite get it done. Off at turn number 2, Kelly's got a strong race car down the back chute. And now the white flag in the hands of Sean Gibbs. 1 lap to go. Pete Gibbons. One more here. Pete Gibbons, less than a lap to go. It has been such a disappointing and frustrating season for Pete Gibbons, but that will be all forgotten here in just a few seconds as he comes off turn number 4. Checkered flag out. Pete Gibbons has won the Auto
How does it feel to have your first victory as a team?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, it's been a while. Last year was our last win, so I think we're going to get things turned around now. It feels great.
Go celebrate and enjoy it.
7 different winners in 7 races. It doesn't get much better than that. We'll be back with the winner, Pete Gibbons. Welcome back to the Autodrome St-Eustache. There is Pete Gibbons climbing out of his race car, waving the checkered flag as he celebrates with Dave Hernan and Damon Sharp, getting the crew chief and the car chief up there along with him. Let's go to Todd Lewis.
Pete Gibbons, I know it's taken a while for you to get here to Victory Lane. You had a lot of frustration this year, but rightfully so, pulling Damon and Dave up onto the car to celebrate. Congratulations.
You know, what can I say for this team? You know, we worked hard this year. We've been up front every week, and, you know, we just had bad luck go against us, but, you know, here we are in the winner's circle.
You had good luck tonight. A lot of cars slid in front of you in turn 4. What was it?
Well, you know, there's a lot of oil out there. There's a real slick racetrack, and, you know, whoever could drive through that oil was going to win tonight, and we did it.
Congratulations, 7th different winner in 7 races.
Outstanding drive for Pete Gibbons as he takes the win. DJ Kennington, Don Thompson Jr. round out our podium positions. Good drive for Kelly Williams, Dave Jacobs, and John Fitzpatrick. Brad Graham finishes 8th in the Pontiac, and Joe Gonzalez rounds out the top 10. Let's go to Todd.
DJ Kennington, bit of a wrinkled up race car out there. What happened? But well done for 2nd place.
Well, the 22 car blew a rat hose, and it made it pretty slippery in a hurry, so we were pretty lucky actually to get back to where we did. Car's been up a little bit, but felt like Peter Gibbons did here last year. I was hoping to get by him and then tell him I can do it with a wrecked car too, but he was pretty quick at the end there. That's all we had left.
Congratulations, another podium finish for DJ Kennington.
And with the results here tonight, we've got a little bit of a different point standings as Don Thompson Jr. has a 31-point lead on Kerry Mix. Al Turner drops to 3rd. Right now, let's go to Todd Lewis, who's standing by with our new Castrol Super Series points leader.
Don Thompson, a slippery and tough track out there, but you managed to wiggle your way up to 3rd place. Well done.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Home Hardware and the whole crew. John Fitzpatrick, he's the man. He's the guy who gave me this car. It's great. Hit a big oil slick, and the car just got away from me, and we had to battle back, but it's a good race for the Home Hardware team.
Heard you might not be feeling your best tonight either. You all right?
Well, I felt a little bit wacky before I got in the car, but until I calmed down, I still feel pretty good.
Congratulations.
Don Thompson Jr. will be the points leader going to round 8. This program is sponsored by Castrol GTX, Drive Hard, Mopar Parts, engineered for all Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles, NTN Bearings, the official bearing of CASCAR, and by Inside Track Motorsport News, the official publication of Canadian Motorsport. There's Pete Gibbons receiving his award as he takes the win over DJ Kennington and Don Thompson Jr. For Robin Buck and Todd Lewis, this is Pat Gonzalez saying so long from the Autodrome St-Eustache. We'll see you next at Trois-Rivières.